Let's check it out.
Child support, warfare, all that it was all part of the whole slavery thing. It was a way of keeping black people, keeping us separated from each other. So as far as I know, with welfare, if a man is with a woman, she wants to get food stamps or whatever, who needs help from the government, they advise her like, hey, you cannot be with a man if you want this money. So you have to separate yourself from this man. You gotta even pretend you're not with this guy. So and then women like, okay, hey, I'm gonna get some money, get some free food if I not be with this guy. So, and that's all part of this whole separation thing. It's all part of it goes back to slavery. We were separated from our family, our brothers and our sisters and our mother and transported. It's all part of slavery. I'm telling you, welfare, all this family court is the best ever. Yes, there are a few deadbeat dads out there that don't want to do nothing at all. That I can understand. That 50% of us men love our kids, would do anything for our kids, and we have a home for our kids, and they won't give us 50% custody, and the court system is all rigged. It's all part of the system. It's job security for these people. So I made a tweet right about child support. It's all over the internet, right? And of course on Shade Room, is on Hollywood Unlocked. My thing, I think if the father, especially when you have a son, right?
Yes.
When you have a son, like, you have a son, I personally think, if the father is willing to raise his son, why don't he do it? Why he has to? I got a lot of buddies that want to raise their kids. They all want to marry with their wife, and the baby mom is like a single mom. And I think the kids should be put in the best situation possible. Even when you want to take your kids out of court, they'll ask you, "Wow, you sure you want to do this? Is he threatening you to do this?" It's all set up. You can't not win. I'm not a believer in child support court. And anybody want to win presidency, I'm telling you right now, y'all forgiving loans, people, and then, a father could lose his passport, lose his license if he's don't pay his support at a certain time. How is this guy supposed to go to work with no license and make money to pay support? It's a system, and it needs to be talked about. I'm telling you right now, if any president wants to win, you bring this up.
Yo, what's good, people? We back, man. It had to come through, right? Because I know you probably seen Michael Blackson say something about welfare, family court, the child support system and everything like that. And he said it all goes back to slavery. I'm like, this is America. This is the United States. Everything goes back to slavery. I mean, there would be no United States of America if it wasn't for slavery. That's what we've been trying to get them to understand. But that's, we'll get to that on something else. But, he was talking about welfare, right? And when you talk about the government giving out free money, it usually is like a white honky thing. Poor white crackers, poor white trash are always first in line. They always put them in the front of the line when it comes to like giving out money, when it comes to the government. But, the welfare system was started by just like that, giving money to poor white trash and giving money to poor white crackers in 1910 in Virginia. Now, Virginia is one of the filthiest places, you know what I'm saying, like, of America. Their history is disgusting, like that whole Charlottesville history, that goes deep in Virginia. But, the whole Virginia, even going back to Virginia Dare and all that, like, Virginia is nasty. But, they started welfare back in 1910 in Virginia, giving money to poor white crackers. One tooth nasty, no talent, no skill. You know what I'm saying? They get the money first. And so that's still what it is today. You go to, what's that? I forgot the name of that county in Kentucky the city in Kentucky where the whole city, the whole county receives government, like they live off of government benefits. They live off of government checks. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to talk about that. They want to make you believe that it's single black mothers getting checks and stuff like that from the government. They living off that. No, no, no. It's really poor white crackers. All right. Let's get that understood. But going back to slavery, the whole United States, the United States existence goes back to slavery. And Michael Blackson said, if a president want to be elected, they would have to acknowledge that. Like, yes, you know what I'm saying? They would have to acknowledge that there is no United States without the free labor of black slaves. You know what I'm saying? And then they have to correct that. But welfare, these government programs, they put it down. It started off as to help white people. All these government programs, they started off to help white people. So when you on paper, it looks like it's done, like they're doing something good. On paper, it looks like it's done to help, you know what I'm saying, to help people. But no, it's really to boost up white people because we are like so potent. One thing I be wanting to tell people, like, yo, like just the Great Depression. You go back to the Great Depression, right? It was the Great Depression for them. That's why it was the Great Depression. It was the Great Depression for them and those depending on them, I should say. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not saying black people weren't affected at all. Of course, black people were affected, but the black people that were affected the most were the black people that depended on them for making it. The all black cities, all black towns, all black businesses, all that were thriving. The Harlem Renaissance was happening at the same time as the Great Depression. So which one is it? A Renaissance or a depression? You know what I'm saying? It depends on how you're looking at which way you're looking at it from, right? So it's the same thing with the pandemic. Look at the pandemic. I think the pandemic was really just trying to recreate the Great Depression. I think the pandemic was trying to recreate the Great Depression because, when they made it seem like, oh, everybody's so messed up, everybody's so traumatized off of losing jobs and having to stay home. A lot of people were relieved. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people were relieved. But, a lot of us were, like, relieved. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I don't got to be around those crackers no more. And I still get paid. I'm living life. That's how a lot of us were. I'm not saying that's the way what we thrive for, what we, aim for, no. But that's how a lot of us was. But in the pandemic, it was a pandemic for a lot of them. A lot of us was thriving. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us was like made some of the most money we ever made. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us was like really backing it up during the pandemic. But like that's you gotta pay attention to these mainstream narratives and what they're aiming for. Because I see what's up. I know what's up. What Michael Blackson said, the welfare started with kicking the man out of the house in order to get a check, right? We always talked about that. That goes back to, that was the Fair Housing Act that came out in 1968. So in 1968, in 1910, they started with the welfare program. And they didn't flip it and bounced it a whole bunch of times to make it seem, but it was really just started for poor white crackers. 1968, they come through with the Fair Housing Act, and on paper it sounds like, oh snap, we coming up, moving on up, but really it was made for white women, and they say, well, we nothing without black women, so they found a way to boost up black women, and the way for them to boost up black women was for the black woman to get rid of the black man. Black man can't live in the house, right? We've been talking about that, and this gender divide, they've been so hard on that. You see that every day, every year. And when you just go on social media, that gender divide shit, for the black community is, they aim for that because they know us together is unstoppable. And so when they came through with the Fair Housing Act, they made it seem like, you can't discriminate against a sex or race for housing when they're trying to get housing. But then what it really was like, yo, black woman, you want this check, we give you $700, but you just can't have no black man living in the house. right? And then when a lot of black women said, yeah, okay, yeah, black man, you go hide in the closet somewhere, go hide in the closet or something so I can get this check. Then when they found out that a lot of black women were getting the check and still like, living with black men, those black women ended up in jail. And now they're in family court, which was started back in 19 when did they start the family court? The family court, the same thing, like I said, made for poor white people. Because you look at it on paper, it sounds like, oh man, they doing the right thing. Oh man, they want to help out families. No, what they really want is control over your family. You know what I'm saying? So, the whole public assistance, right? It's all for poor white people. Food stamps began in 1939. It was a white woman in New York. You know what I'm saying? That's where food stamps come from. It wasn't even an official thing. It was just to help out a poor white woman at first. And so all these public assistance programs were just ways for them to compete with black people. Because we was doing it, we was fine, we was doing it, we already know what to do. We done built this whole country. The public assistance is really just them trying to compete with us. You know what I'm saying? Well, how we already live, how we already got a community over a country. But I'm really, just trying to reiterate what Michael Blackson is saying. You know what I'm saying? Because everything does go back to slavery. But when you put it into perspective about what it really is, 1910 they come through with the welfare, 1939 food stamps, 1968 Fair Housing Act. So, and they've been flipping and bouncing all the definitions of all this shit, and it still goes on today. Look at Atlanta. In Atlanta, they started giving out reparations to black girls, and they ain't nowhere close to what they actually deserve, but they only give it to black women. And then you look at Atlanta, all the homeless people are black men. You know what I'm saying? There are no homeless black women in Atlanta. If they homeless, they want to be, or they walk in the streets on purpose. But the Fair Housing Act still exists, especially below the Mason-Dixon. But I'm gonna go and get out of here on this one right here. I'll be back. I support Michael Blackson on this one. But I'm gonna salute. We out.